The White House telling Fox Business it's now considering declaring a national climate emergency. But that's a climate crisis to you, Mark. The AP, which sets the standards for newsrooms across the country, they're urging Americans to use the term climate crisis to address the current situation. This is all troubling, but if the president declares a climate emergency, what impact does that have?
Well, I mean, this is the serious story of the day. NBC News has reported that if Joe Biden declares a national climate emergency, he would have COVID-like powers under that emergency, and they also compared the emergency powers to the 9/11 emergency powers. The Center for Biological Diversity has estimated Joe Biden would get about 130 wartime-like powers by which to bypass democracy and impose the Green New Deal on America without a single vote of Congress. This is truly this is a Halloween story, not a story for Earth Day. This is a truly frightening story, and he might just be desperate enough to do it. This is being widely reported in the media. The Biden White House is leaking this out. This might happen, and this is going to give Joe Biden, these kind of, you want to say the word dictatorial powers. He doesn't need no stinking democracy to impose the Green New Deal if he does this.
Have you heard about what's going on in Dubai?
Dubai is currently experiencing some of the worst flooding it's had in years.
Okay, so you know what's going on now. The worst flooding in 1 billion years. Do you know how it started?
The UAE government invested more than $20 million in research to start a process called cloud seeding. The UAE performs around 1,000 hours of cloud seeding a year, and it's all controlled by this building in the National Center of Meteorology in Abu Dhabi, where they track the whole process. We met with a cloud seeding expert to explain how the seeding process works.
We wait the forecast. When we have a good, chance for a cloud, we send the aircraft to that location. Go under the cloud. In the first stage of the cloud, there is good updraft at that time. Start to release all the salt, and with the good updraft, of course, it will go inside the cloud. The droplets will become bigger and start to rain. The
center manufactures a salt substance that helps enhance rainfall. They put them in what they call flares.
Just one more example of when you hear the phrase, oh yeah, it's safe and effective, you should probably dig a little deeper.
My client, one of my patients, is a producer in Hollywood.
Kriegte vor 2 Jahren einen Auftrag von Disney.
2 years ago, he received a task from Disney.
Alle alten Disney-Movies zu überarbeiten.
To go over and edit all the old Disney movies.
In den Himmel diese Streifen einzubauen.
To put into the scenes of the sky these stripes.
So, when people see a Disney movie
also
today,
wenn dann die Leute einen Disney-Film schauen heutzutage.
Und sagen, weil Klinghardt, du sagst Klinghardt, dass diese Streifenbildung erst in den letzten Jahren so schlimm geworden ist.
And then, for example, people say today, well, Klinghardt, you're talking about these stripes being formed on the sky today, only as of late.
Dann sagen sie, hier ist ein Film von 1954, guck dir den Himmel an.
Then they will say,
der hat die gleichen Streifen drin.
Look at this movie here from 1954. There are the same stripes at the sky.
Die Streifen sind ein natürliches Phänomen.
That then convince people that the stripes are a natural phenomena.
Mein Patient hatte für $60 Millionen bekommen.
My patient received for this job $60 million.
Hitler actually openly admitted that he studied the laws, eugenics laws on the books in America, like Buck versus Bell in 1927, which upheld Virginia's mandated sterilization law of those labeled unfit to reproduce. Did you know? Who's heard of Buck versus Bell, by the way? See? Isn't that crazy? It's one of the most atrocious, controversial Supreme Court decisions, right up there with Dred Scott. The hidden history of the secular moral revolution. I found a report from 2020 the other day. I'm going to include references to this. And by the way, I have a book coming out called The 1960 Project. So for the nerds who want to go deeper, don't worry. It'll have more than the film. This report looked at the 9 most commonly used high school history textbooks in the United States of America. Any coverage of the eugenics movement, the American Eugenics Society, Margaret Sanger, and Buck versus Bell are almost entirely absent. Because of the Supreme Court decision, Buck versus Bell, that allowed the state to mandate the sterilization of those labeled unfit to reproduce, over 70,000 people were forcibly sterilized between California and New York in the next 15 years. Meaning like, yeah, forcibly sterilized. Like, we're tying your tubes or snip, snip. You don't get to have kids because you're bad stock. You have bad genes. Margaret Sanger celebrated the Buck versus Bell decision when it was decided. At the Nuremberg trials, guys, the Nazis in their defense said, but you guys had Buck versus Bell that allowed the state to mandate the sterilization of those considered a threat to the gene pool. Guys, the Nazis in their defense cited our Supreme Court decision, which Margaret Sanger celebrated when it was decided in 1927. Planned Parenthood isn't just part of the eugenics movement, they are the eugenics movement.
That's right.
Controlling population, breeding the fit, preventing the unfit from reproducing. So her Negro Project in 1939 was an attempt to get black faces to be the front of the propaganda and putting, which is today, by the way, 80% of their Planned Parenthood surgical abortion facilities within walking distance of majority black neighborhoods. As it was in 1939, so it is today. This was intentional. She had someone on her payroll for the Negro Project. It was a Negro Project director. And I've got one of their quotes. You have to dig for this stuff. And I found it. Here's what someone on Margaret Sanger's payroll for the Negro Project said. There is a great danger that we will fail because the Negroes think that this is a plan for their extermination. Hence, let's appear to let the colored run it. Let's appear to let the colored run. Which is why today, if you walk into a Planned Parenthood clinic in a black neighborhood, there will be a black man or woman sitting at the front desk to welcome you in. So the mother, whose black unborn child Planned Parenthood has assigned dollar signs to, will feel more comfortable when they see someone who looks like them.
People coming out of a university with a master's degree or a PhD, you take them into the field, and they literally don't believe anything unless it's a peer-reviewed paper. It's the only thing they accept. And you say to them, but let's observe, let's think, let's discuss. They don't do it. It's just, is it in a peer-reviewed paper or not? That's their view of science. I think it's pathetic. Gone into universities as bright young people, they come out of them brain dead, not even knowing what science means. They think it means peer-reviewed papers, etc. No, that's academia. And if a paper is peer-reviewed, it means everybody thought the same, therefore they approved it. An unintended consequence is that when new knowledge emerges, new scientific insights, they can never, ever be peer-reviewed. So we're blocking all new advances in science that are big advances. If you look at the breakthroughs in science, almost always they don't come from the center of that profession. They come from the fringe. The finest candle makers in the world couldn't even think of electric lights. They don't come from within. They often come from outside the breaks. We're going to kill ourselves because of stupidity.
An underpass was constructed such that a bus carrying mostly black and Puerto Rican kids to a beach, or it would have been, in New York was designed too low for it to pass by, that obviously reflects racism that went into those design choices. I don't think we have anything to lose by confronting that simple reality, and I think we have everything to gain by acknowledging it and then dealing with it, which is why the Reconnecting Communities, that $1 billion, is something we want to get to work right away.
So here's the question. Do your skies look like this? You see all these? This is weather modification. This is happening on a regular basis. The White House admitted that we can dim the sun to save the planet. Here you go. Here's a time lapse. And soon it will be cloudy. This is what's interesting when you get into all of this. You'll see all of these come out in the sky, and then all of a sudden it'll be cloudy by you. And we've been seeing a lot of this. What's interesting is YouTube has removed a lot of these videos, saying that they go against the community guidelines. And they're terminating all the accounts that talk about this topic, which I find very interesting, because if it's not true, why would you delete them? These are questions we should also ask. Now, when we think about this topic, here are all the states that are banning weather modification: Tennessee, Kentucky, Rhode Island, Illinois, South Dakota, Connecticut. So if it's not real, then why are they trying to ban solar dimming and weather modification? These are all the bills in which you can look up, and you can find all of the information on this topic through these bills. Now, what's even more crazy is that Congress mandated a bill to block out the sun. Look at this. Solar radiation modification, blocking out the sun to save us and the planet. Does that make any sense? Does it make sense to get rid of the sun to save us? You tell me. It's all good. I think I found a counter. Wilhelm Reich, the Cloudbuster. You guys should look into that topic.
This is a normal plane. See? Yes, it does leave a vapor that then evaporates. It does not leave huge trails in the sky. And here's another plane doing the same thing. There you have it. Literally, we're an hour before the eclipse. In the air right now, doing a crisscross pattern, and we're literally an hour before the eclipse. I turned his on, so okay. There he is up there, leaving his trail, and oh! Weird. Great example, because boom, and there's the start of one. Now we follow that guy. Yep. These are classic chemtrails, and it's just crazy coincidence. It's an hour before the eclipse, and what we're gonna get. And this is what we're left with.
Well, look at the red dot. Sorry, Barbie. Yeah, what is that? We'll find out. Somebody else. Yeah. I wonder if that will be good.
Look at all the chemtrails. It was a beautiful sunny day all day. Look at this. Look.